So you've got this incredible idea, right? The passion is there, the drive is there. But hold on. Before you even think about your first sale, there's a huge question you've got to answer. Are you going to be a company, an LLP, or a partnership? It sounds kind of boring, but trust me, this one choice can change everything. It's easy to get overwhelmed, so let's clear up the confusion and find the perfect fit for you. Think of it like this. You're about to build your dream house. This decision is the foundation. And you know what happens if you get the foundation wrong? The structure you choose affects everything. How much personal risk you're taking, how you're taxed, even whether you can get investors on board. This is so much more than paperwork. It's the actual blueprint for your entire business. Okay, so we're basically looking at four main options. You've got the solo flight of a proprietorship, the team effort of a partnership, the super flexible LLP, and the more formal company structure. Each one has its own rulebook, its own pros and cons. And you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, so which one's for me? Don't worry. By the time we're done here, you'll have a pretty clear idea. All right, listen up. If you only take away one single thing today, let it be this: liability. That one word is the most important concept here. It's basically the firewall between your business life and your personal life. And once you get your head around this, the whole puzzle starts to make sense. So what builds that firewall? It's a fancy term called separate legal identity. Here's what it means. In the eyes of the law, a company or an LLP is its own person. It can have its own bank account, own its own property, and rack up its own debt. But a proprietorship? Nope. You and the business are legally the exact same thing. There's no separation at all. And here's where that really matters. With limited liability, if the business goes south and owes a ton of money, creditors can only go after the business's assets. Your personal car, your house, they're safe, they're protected. But with unlimited liability, oh boy, there is no distinction. If the business has debts, then you have debts personally. The risk is all on you. Let's make this crystal clear. Meet Mr. Raj. He opens a cool little cafe as a sole proprietor. Things are going well, but then, bam, a huge, unexpected loss leaves him deep in debt. Because he's a proprietor with unlimited liability, he has to sell his own personal car to pay off the business debts. Now just imagine, if he had set it up as an LLP instead, that legal shield would have been up and his car would have been totally safe. That right there is the power of picking the right structure. Okay, so liability is the big one, for sure. But there are other real-world differences that are just as important for your daily grind. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and compare these blueprints based on things like registration, how many owners you can have, and, of course, the costs. You know, there's also the issue of just looking legit. Companies and LLPs have to officially register with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Think of this as a government stamp of approval. It makes banks, investors, and even your customers take you more seriously. It signals that you're in it for the long haul, and that can open up a lot of doors for funding and big projects. Your choice here can also affect how big you can grow. A proprietorship, that's a one-person show, period. A partnership hits a ceiling at 20 people. But an LLP, you can have as many partners as you want, which is awesome for flexibility. And a private limited company lets you have up to 200 shareholders, which is absolutely essential if you plan on raising money from investors. And for you solo founders, the one-person company gives you that corporate feel, but just for you. Okay, let's talk about everybody's favorite subject, taxes. Really, this is all about how much of your profit you actually get to keep. With a proprietorship, your business profit is just treated as your personal income, so you're taxed based on those individual slabs, which can get really high. On the other hand, LLPs and companies pay a flat corporate tax rate, and as you can see, a company often gets the best deal. That percentage point or two might not seem like much, but it can mean a whole lot of extra cash to pour back into your business. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? This isn't just about handing money over. It's about what's left in your bank account to fuel your growth. The smarter your tax structure, the more capital you have to hire that next team member, to innovate, and to expand your reach. It's a strategic move, not just a legal one. Now, with more structure comes more responsibility. It's a trade-off. Think of it like a ladder. At the very bottom, a proprietorship is super simple, almost no paperwork. But as you start climbing up towards an LLP, and especially a company, the compliance load gets a lot heavier. We're talking mandatory annual reports, formal board meetings, maybe even official audits. It costs more time and money, but that's what you pay for that ironclad protection and credibility. All right, so theory is one thing, but let's see how all this stuff actually works in the real world. We've looked at all the different pieces, the liability, the taxes, the paperwork. Now let's put them all together in a practical scenario and see how you'd actually make the call. But before we do that, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. What is your number one goal right now? Is it just keeping things as simple as possible? Is it to chase down millions in funding? Or is it all about protecting your house and car? Your main goal is like a compass. It's going to point you straight to the right structure. So let's pretend a team. Aisha, Karan, and Neha are starting a new agency. What should they pick? Well, it all depends on their goal. If they just want to work together smoothly and make sure their personal assets are safe, the LLP is a fantastic choice. It's the perfect balance. But if their dream is to get huge and raise money from venture capitalists, they pretty much have to go with a private limited company. That's what investors expect. Now, what if it's just a solo founder? If they're a risk taker who wants total control, proprietorship is fine. But for that solo founder who also wants that liability shield, the one-person company, the OPC, is literally made for them. Whew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground. You now have the complete framework to think through this decision. So let's boil it all down into one final checklist to make your choice as clear as possible. This chart says it all, really. Just look at the pattern. As you move from left to right, from proprietorship over to a private limited company, you are trading simplicity and low costs for way more protection and credibility. It's a classic trade-off. There is no single best choice here, only what's best for your mission. So let's make this ridiculously simple. Here is your go-to guide. If you're a freelancer or running a small local shop, a proprietorship is easy and gets the job done. If you're a team of professionals like architects or consultants, an LLP gives you that critical liability protection. If you're building the next unicorn startup and need funding, you need a private limited company. End of story. And if you're a solo entrepreneur who wants that corporate shield, the OPC is your answer. So there you have it. We've laid out the blueprints, we've handed you the tools. You now understand the big trade-offs between risk, cost, and control. The only question left is the one that only you can answer. Which of these foundations are you going to choose to build your dream on?